Hi, this is David Gemme coming to you live from Gemme Group headquarters in beautiful Lake Tahoe and Sotheby's International Realty. Today we're going to talk about public beaches and some of my favorite public beaches around Lake Tahoe. And believe it or not, there's a lot of them. One of the things you have to hand to the 5 different counties and 2 different states that represent Lake Tahoe is that they actually got together and they thought about where the public could congregate. And then with that said, what actually creates value in the real estate in Lake Tahoe is that you can own a piece of your own beach, right? And we specialize in lakefronts around the lake. So it's really important to understand how the public and the private sectors overlap in Lake Tahoe, okay? So today we're gonna focus on public beaches. The most iconic beach in Tahoe City, of course, is Commons Beach. And it's in the heart of the town. It's where they do movies in the park. It's where they do, concerts in the park. It has a playground for the kids. The bike path rides right past it, and all the restaurants and shops are right behind you, okay? So Commons Beach is one of my favorite beaches because it's just integrated with the way that you want to live in Tahoe City, and Placer County has done a wonderful job with that. We're gonna move north, and as we move north, we're gonna go to Dollar Point, and Tahoe City resides on this thing called the Tahoe City Shelf, and I could go into the geology of that, but I don't want you guys to go to sleep. I want you to keep watching this video. So I could go into the geology of that, but it's a shelf that goes out anywhere from about 100 to 200 feet, and it creates very shallow water. So what that does also is it creates very shallow water beaches, which is really good for young children. So you can go north to Dollar Point, and just to the south of Dollar Point is Caspian Beach, and that's a really beautiful beach. And then if you go north of that and around the point, you kind of come into the old Chinquapin property, which is a beautiful kind of private subdivision of condominiums that has, I think it's over 600 feet of beach access for their owners. As we move north, you hit Carnelian Bay, and Carnelian Bay has Waterman's Landing, and Waterman's Landing is a great place to just basically grab your paddle boards, sea kayaks, and to rent boats because the marina is right next door to Waterman's Landing. It is also a dog beach, and for those of you who need to take your dogs, you have to realize a lot of the public beaches up here are not dog beaches, so you can be fined if you take your dog to Commons, for example. So take them up to Waterman's Landing. They also have a fantastic coffee shop there, which has everything from organic sandwiches to coffee, everything else. Okay, so north of Carnelian Bay, we're gonna go through Agate Bay, and then we hit the sandy beaches from Tahoe Vista to Kings Beach. Kings Beach is the most iconic beach. That's where you'll see the kiteboarders, you'll see windsurfers up there, because the prevailing winds from in the summertime come from the south, and they come from the south and they blow these beautiful big lake waves north, and so you can get anywhere from 16-inch to 3.5-4 foot swells up there sometimes, which makes it really fun for everyone to play in the water because you have the water breaking on the beach as if you're in some sort of ocean beach somewhere. As we move north, we're going to move into Incline. Incline beaches in Incline proper are not public, okay? And so you have to be an Incline resident to use those beaches. So we will do another video on those, and I will cover those in another video. We'll probably put the link to that in here eventually. But we're gonna move around to the East Shore, because the East Shore, in my mind, is the Caribbean of Lake Tahoe, okay? And it starts pretty much right where Incline Village ends. You'll see there's a bike path there. That was in our prior video too, basically a biking video around Lake Tahoe. Where that bike path begins, any of those beaches from where Incline ends and that bike path begins, you can basically take a backpack and a lunch and you can go plop down on any of those rocks in any of the beaches. And you'll see this picture behind me is actually one of my favorite beaches, and part of the reason it's in this video and is one of our banners for Gemme Group is it truly is the most iconic experience of Lake Tahoe that you've ever seen being on those East Shore beaches. I love this beach in particular because the sunsets from this beach, fade, and you can literally stay out on the beach in midsummer till about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then you're hiking in the dusk back up to your car. All of these beaches are hiked down to them beaches. The most iconic on the East Shore is probably Chimney Beach. You have to be careful. I'm going to caution you, there are some nude beaches over there. So if you're bringing your kids, basically, if you see naked people, that's probably a nude beach. Go to the next one down, okay? Because people get a little weird sometimes. But as you move south down the east shore, you come to, Secret Cove. Then you hit Boaters Beach, and Boaters Beach is this long, big, sandy beach with, all, granite sand. It's just gorgeous. And then you move past Creek Beach, and you end up at Whale Beach. And for my family loves Whale Beach. That anytime we decide as a family we're going to go take a picnic and take a day off and go to the beach together, they always request to go to Whale Beach because you can swim out to these big giant rocks, and the rocks actually look like whales coming out of the water, and it's just this really cool thing. Okay, as we move south past Gunk Harbor, you kind of come into this very rocky shoreline of Lake Tahoe at the end of the state park. And there's a whole history lesson I could give you on how all of that got preserved. It's actually a fascinating story. Maybe we'll do another video on that. Why don't you comment down below and tell us if you want to see that video, because we would love to share it with you if you do. You come into Glenbrook. Glenbrook is a private community, and most of the neighborhood beaches from pretty much Glenbrook to Skyland, with the exception of Cave Rock Boat Ramp, are all private beaches. So you're not going to be able to really kind of use any of that stretch of beach until you get to Zephyr Cove. And Zephyr Cove is one of those iconic spots that if you grew up in Lake Tahoe, there's usually like two groups of people. You either grew up in the South Lake or you grew up in the North Lake, right? The South Lake people, they know Zephyr Cove like the back of their hand. They love Zephyr Cove because there's a campground right behind there that I think it holds like 600 different sites or something like that. We'll have to get the exact numbers and I'll put them down below also. But if you go Zephyr Cove and then you go into South Lake Tahoe is kind of the big sandy beaches with the views looking north. Can't go wrong there. My favorite beach in South Lake Tahoe is Regan Beach. And the reason I like Regan Beach is it's just a big, flat, open beach with just spectacular views. Tons of parking there, so you can come in there very easily and park your car, because a lot of times you end up hiking to the beaches in Lake Tahoe, whether you want to or not, just because midsummer, in the peak of the year, there's a ton of people up here. I don't know if you know this, but Lake Tahoe is the third most visited natural wonder in the US. The first is Yosemite and the second is Yellowstone. Lake Tahoe's number 3, okay? So tons of people here in the summertime. If you want the best time to come to Lake Tahoe, it's actually in the shoulder seasons. So like try to come up here in May or come up here right after the kids go back to school after Labor Day weekend. And then that month of September is probably one of my favorite months in this area because the number of people here has been reduced by half, and it is hot, the water is warm. Lake Tahoe's water is warmest usually the last week of September versus the first week of October. Sometimes, depending upon the Indian summer that we're having, you can even push the warmer water into mid-October. But the days are just getting shorter at that point in time, so you can do less in a day, okay? So coming up from the iconic beaches of Regan Beach, you have, my favorite beach is probably Emerald Bay. There's a beach there called Boaters Beach in Emerald Bay, and you can actually boat camp at that beach, which is really neat. And it's just, Emerald Bay is just, there's just a ton of activity there. So it's not high on the list for me, but if you go around the point, you end up at DL Bliss State Park. And DL Bliss is a very steep, but very just iconic state park. And the Bliss family you saw in one of our prior videos actually was the Bliss. They owned a logging company up here, and they donated that park from their private holdings in exchange for a parcel that is now going to be listed over on the other side of the lake. I'll tell you about that later on also, okay? From Bliss Beach, that's where the Gold Coast starts. And you have to realize that the Gold Coast is all privately owned big acreage parcels, and that runs into Rubicon. Rubicon has two private HOA beaches along there. But the Gold Coast, if you want to be on that Gold Coast, is pretty much DL Bliss State Park until you get to Meeks Bay. And Meeks Bay is this beautiful private cove with just a gorgeous sandy beach on it. And all of the West Shore beaches, you're not going to get the sunsets from the West Shore beaches because the sun's setting behind you. If you want the sunsets, you're going to be on the East Shore, Zephyr Cove, or South Lake, or north, like the north part of the lake of Incline Village. You can also get some pretty good sunset shots on Dollar Point, but that is a private beach also. Okay, so from Meeks Bay, we're gonna go north from Meeks Bay to one of my favorite places in all of Tahoe, which is Sugar Pine Point State Park. And Sugar Pine Point is that is a state park with a beautiful sandy beach and rocky, and it has these beautiful old growth sugar pines and cedars in that park that are just for hiking and walking around. You also have the Vikings home mansion, which used to be a privately owned estate that was handed over to the state of California, I think in the 1960s. Have to fact check me on that. But then, you know, that works us back all the way back up to Tahoe City. And once you leave Sugar Pine Point, there's a couple pullover beaches, which I actually really like because I live in Tahoe City and they're about 2 miles south of my house. But there's a couple pullover beaches that have these like small little polished cobblestones on them. And you can go out and you can launch your paddle boards and everything right there. It's basically in, you know, the Hurricane Cove, just south of the Godfather Estate is a good one too, okay? So that is our quick tour of Tahoe's best beaches. If you have questions or comments or even concerns, express them in the comments down below. We thank you for watching our channel. If you liked what you saw today, please smash that subscribe button, and we will be seeing you soon with another Get to Know Tahoe video as soon as we can. We welcome you and welcome your friends up here anytime they want to come. Thanks for watching.